Hey guys, welcome to the Tuesday installment of a way up going on right now. I'm here with Dan Handford. Today we're going to be talking about multifamily real estate investing. Today, Dan is with us to be able to share with us, the top 3 strategies that you have to know prior to investing in the multifamily deals. Dan works with a great group, the Multifamily Investor Summit, where they do a lot of really high quality information, bringing professionals to those groups. I've been a part of that group before too. I can attest to you guys that the level of professionals, the type of knowledge that they're sharing in the Multifamily Investor Summit is amazing. That's mfinsummit.com. And so I just want to say thank you, Dan, for coming on the show here today. And talking with us about what are the top 3 strategies that we need to know prior to investing in the multifamily deals.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to be here and sharing with you, and hopefully at the next summit that you're going to have in June of this year, 2019, you won't get stuck in a ditch, because I know in January you got stuck in a ditch last time.
Yeah, I was up in Colorado, and it's a funny story. I'm up in Colorado. I'm not used to being able to drive on snow at all. And there I am, scheduled to speak, cruising back to be able to get to the Wi-Fi, so I can go ahead and log in to do all that. I was like, oh, this will be a nice, easy turn. And it was about a 3-mile-an-hour slide across the road right into the ditch. And I was like, it was like one of those things where you're absolutely terrified and you're not moving anywhere, and you're just like, oh, well, I guess that's what's going on now. But,
now, I want to know, though, as you were sliding down the road, were you thinking about the summit?
That's all I was thinking about. I was like, I can't believe that Dan was nice enough to invite me to the Multifamily Investor Summit, and here I am stuck in a ditch. What the heck am I going to do to be able to make it up to him and for everybody that was there?
That's awesome. Well, we're looking forward to having you again, too. So.
Yeah, well, I look forward to it. And we got this whole promotion now with doing free LLCs for everybody in the country. That's one of our renewed missions to say, we really believe that everybody needs to have asset protection put in place for personal asset protection. So what we're going to do is give it all away for free. I got tired of listening to all this stuff that I'm hearing on Bigger Pockets. The one that's like, oh, I got insurance. I got this other thing. Maybe I don't need it. I was like, hell, I tell you what, I believe in it so strongly. I'm just going to give it to you. So you don't have to make that call anymore. And we know that once people actually start to interact with us and we're like, hey, let's see what you got going on here, that there's a ton of value we get to bring them after the fact. So
now, are you going to pay for all the state filing fees as well, Scott?
Yeah, we actually are doing that too.
Wow.
So we pay for all the state filing fees. We do, so it's a truly free LLC. The only thing that we don't pay for is all of the annual maintenance that has to go along with that. So we have options for people if they want us to do that for them that combines with, if you get the annual maintenance, you get free access to our shows to be able to say, for this, for example, it could be behind something and say, hey, we're actually going to have all of our private members only invited that can interact with us during the show to ask questions. You get access to that. You get access to our staff. You get access to our form database as part of a $49 a month membership. And so that's kind of that's the push pull, but nobody has to do any of that. If you want to take care of it all on your own and do that, cool. I just want to see everybody get protected. So
is it just the first LLC, or if I wanted to have 20 LLCs, you do all of them?
Just the first LLC is free, Dan. Yeah.
It's just really to kind of get to know you, your group, and experience of working with you guys, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a way for us to do it and get everybody what does a taste look like? What does a modern legal firm look like that's bent on more education and discrete solutions for particular problems for real estate investors and for entrepreneurs? Then but I think what happened in a lot of time in the legal field too is everybody plays this game where it's I'll help you, but you have to pay me first, and then maybe I'll be able to help you. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, okay, let's reverse the table on that and say, no, let's help people first. Let's give away most of the low-hanging, all the low-hanging fruit stuff. Then I'll make all of the attorneys in the field. We all have to raise our bar now. We got to go up the value chain on how much we're able to help people, because I'm gonna destroy the value chain at the bottom of the tier and say, I'm not gonna allow anybody to play that game anymore. Everybody's got to raise their level, and Royal Legal Solutions is probably going to be one of the most hated law firms probably in that community if I had to guess, of what's going to happen. But I'm really excited about the work that you're doing here, Dan. I know that you guys have had a lot of great success here recently. Do you want to tell us a little bit, catch everybody up to speed of all the great things that you've been doing here in the last 6 months?
Yeah. So, I obviously, for those of you who have been following me at any, length of time, I'm the founder of the Multifamily Investor Nation, which we started in about September, October last year, somewhere around there. And it's grown to just over about 8,000 or 9,000 members now. And we have 50 meetup groups across the country that meet on a regular basis. And even just on the Meetup platform, we're almost at 6,000 members. And this past January, we put on our very first virtual online 3-day summit, which we were talking about earlier. And we had over 60 top experts in the field of multifamily speaking there. And you're never going to get that kind of a quality of that number of speakers and that quality of speakers, in a live event, like actually a physical in-person event. But when you can do it virtually like this, you get to kind of get the best of both worlds. You get the quality as well as you get the quantity. And you also get, the opportunities for, even though you might think it's all virtual and there's not a lot of networking going on, there is quite a bit of opportunities for networking. We have some closed Facebook groups that we have together for people to kind of work with each other before the event. And one of the other nice features of the event is that for all the attendees that come, you get access to the name and email address of all the other attendees, so you can continue to network even after the event. And you also you might even be able to find some passive investors, on that list. So it's definitely an opportunity for you to kind of get your name out there and kind of get to know a lot of other people. And so if anybody is interested in that, they can find out more information about that website you mentioned earlier, mfinsummit.com. And right now, I think the tickets are like $297. And I think that you should be getting a promo code as well, Scott. I'm not sure what it was last time. But we'll make sure we give it to you so you can put it on the comments, but the actual description of this post here, so you can kind of see. Go ahead and get $100 off those tickets. So it'll be only like $197.
Awesome. Yeah, what a great deal, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, share with me like one of the success stories of people that you know of that have come to the summit or started working with you, and how these things took them from from where they were at to a level of success that I think you sought out to be able to do for people. Is there a story that comes to mind or somebody that comes to mind that you could tell us about?
Sure. I mean, there's several different stories. We got lots of different testimonials from the event, lots of different golden nuggets that were found. But, probably the stories that I hear the most are, for, the investors that met somebody at the event, because we also try to put on some, virtual, what we call breakout sessions where we can actually network with other people via a meeting platform. And you can break people up into the various rooms to be able to meet more like, one-on-one or, one-on-two instead of, having 50 people in a virtual platform that you don't really get to know everybody. You get to network with a lot of those people. But I would say the biggest thing is people that met people on the event from the networking side, but also those who found passive investors for their deals. I have a lot of investors that have reached out to me, and they were at the summit and they were like, yeah, thank you so much for putting that on. It was great content. I had to really deepen my knowledge, and I feel more comfortable being able to invest as a passive investor in a lot of these various projects because I understand them more. And I also met people there at the event that I was able to build my confidence in and actually invest with them. So there's actually people who met at the event have now invested with people that were at the event as well. And I know 2 people recently that have, it wasn't just because of the event, but I think the event also helped them in this regard, but they were able to, stop working their corporate America jobs and, work on the multifamily business full time. And, that's kind of the dream that everybody has, is being able to, quit their corporate America job and, live more on the passive income, but even as an active, syndicator, if you will, being able to work from anywhere instead of having to go in and punch a clock.
Yeah, I think that's such a great thing to highlight in there, right? Is that it's not just one story. It's something that you've heard time and time and time again of, where does this type of networking take you, and where can you actually, if you take advantage of it, what kind of steps can it, kind of move you forward to what you need to do. And one thing just to underline here, guys, is that, meetup groups and things like that I've gone to a ton of times, it's just, you can kind of get like anybody's that's there, right? One of the great things about doing where you pay, a small amount of money, but, it's still enough that, you can't, it's not $5, right? What that means that everybody that shows up to these groups are very serious about wanting to take steps to move forward, right? Not everybody knows exactly what they need to do, but that's why everybody's there together. That's why you're there to talk to everybody else that's there, because people have absorbed a lot of information. They want to connect with people, and those are all serious people that are trying to get to the next step. And these are the highest value leverage points that you can do, is to surround yourself with people that are serious and committed to going at the same place you're going. Because when you surround yourself with people like that, you're going to find that you just naturally will do that. This is where they talk about when they say that you you are the sum total of the 5 people that you surround yourself with, right? This is how you find those 5 people in a way that's going to be really efficient. You could just go walking around the street and go through 10,000 people to find your 5, or what you can do is go to great events like this, go to a selective group, and you're going to find your 5 there a lot faster than you would anywhere else. So for a couple $100 or a few $100 in there, it's going to be well worth your time, because it's going to save you not just days, but potentially even years of finding the right people to connect you with to get you, where you want to go. So
very well said. Very well said.
Yeah, thanks, man. So I really believe in what you're doing there. So I just really wanted to underline that for everybody on there. So I know we promised everybody, a top 3 strategies that everybody needed to look at before they get into multifamily deals. So Dan, let's rattle these off in the level of detail that you like. What's the first strategy that, everybody has to know prior to getting into multifamily investing?
Sure. And so, I would say prior to deciding who to passively invest with is really kind of what I would say, because, these top 3 strategies are just basically 3 things that you need to be aware of and be looking at when you're analyzing a deal before you passively invest with somebody. So, the first thing is right now with the state of the unknown state of the market, really, because we've been calling for this correction or whatever since about 2015, one of the things that you want to make sure you're always paying attention to is the leverage that's on a deal. So that's the amount of money that the organization or the sponsor is actually taking from a bank, from a lender, to be able to acquire the asset. And so, sometimes I've seen recently some deals that are, 86, 87% leveraged. And I think that those are the deals that are going to have the hardest times of holding through some sort of correction or downturn is those projects that are over leveraged. And so right now, as a passive investor myself and an active, investor, I try to find deals that, that will work with lower leverage. So you're getting that permanent Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, 10-year fixed debt that might have some interest only up front, but has a really good, debt to service income ratio, but also has lower leverage. So, some of the deals we're putting together right now are at 69, 70, 71% leverage. But anything over about 75% leverage, I get a little bit, uncomfortable with. It doesn't mean that the deal won't work and it won't make sense, but you just have to be a little bit more careful when you decide on a deal that's, over leveraging themselves, which is over that 75% leverage point.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I was just speaking with Grant Cardone about that the other day on Real Estate Nerds, and he was telling me that what he targets is about 65%. You say with a 65%, I don't care what happens with the market. I'm buying as much real estate as I possibly can, and I'm just going to keep it for forever, and to that's his investment strategy with it. He's like, hey, 65%, markets go up, markets go down. I'm sitting pretty the whole time. Rents go up, rents go down. Guess what? I'm always covering my mortgage payment. It's like the lowest stressed way you possibly can of investing. Of when you approach it like that, right? I was like, that's just like a genius thing to do. Because then, what's the point of escaping your 9-to-5 job to then just worry all the time about investing and what's going to happen with your money over there? You didn't really get any real freedom, if that's what you did, so.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing you have to look at too, is that when you look at lower leverage deals, the returns are not going to be as great, but you also have to balance that with being lower risk, because you're not trying to over leverage yourself. You're not having to take, as much risk with it. So lower risk, lower reward. But, when you look at a deal that's 65% levered, you're going to be looking at probably, 12, 13, 14%, IRR on a 5-year hold versus, getting up to like 80, 85% leverage. You can really, push proceeds and really, push that IRR. But it's like you said, it's a balance. It's a balancing act of risk versus reward. So I think it's very smart, to have that lower leverage. And that's probably the number one strategy that I would say when you're trying to, analyze a deal and look at whether or not you're going to invest in a deal passively is look at that leverage point and see, is it in a position where if the market does correct, that you're going to have to be worried about making those payments?
I think it's a really, really good point with that one, Dan. So that was strategy number 1, guys. We were talking about, making sure that you got the leverage right to be able to match your risk tolerance. And that we're kind of bullish on saying, hey, let's do lower leverage, because that's going to, like say, we don't know what's going to happen in the markets. But, if it does downturn, we're not going to be worried, because we know that our assets are still going to perform. So we don't got to play the guessing game of who has the crystal ball of trying to time stuff that nobody knows about really, right? So what's strategy number 2, Dan?
Strategy number 2 is to make sure that when you have that lower leverage, you also have extra operating reserves. And if you have enough if you have a lower leverage and enough in operating reserves, it's the best of both worlds. You can pretty much ride through any downturn of anything that's going to happen in the future. You look at some of the properties back in 2008 that maybe defaulted on their loans or whatever. Most of those properties were over leveraged and they didn't have enough money in the operating reserves accounts, and so they couldn't hold through. But those who had lower leverage and lots of operating reserves, they were able to hold through those downturns, and their money was safe, because those assets that maybe they projected to sell in 2008, but they held through to 2011, 2012, and they exited those deals. They did phenomenally well versus those that had to they couldn't refinance out of a deal in 2008 or whatever, or they couldn't hold on to it because they didn't have enough money in the operating account.
Very good point. So going the low leverage and having enough money in the operating account, if you're worried about downturns in the economy, that's going to be the two key pieces you need for that. So what's our third strategy here that you have to know about prior to investing in the multifamily deals?
Sure. This is one that I think that a lot of people miss, and I don't think it's like the end all be all, but I think if you're looking at trying to be as conservative as possible and wanting to make sure that the operator on the project, is going to operate your project or your investment properly, then I think you have to find a sponsor that has some form of business management skills. Because if you look at some of these sponsors that are putting some of these projects together and they have no background in business, they have no background in finance, and they're getting into this space and trying to do it on their own, I think that's setting people up for failure. And so what a lot of these smarter syndicators are doing is they're aligning themselves with other syndicators and partners that have that experience and that can help bolster their project and have that person on their team that can help them make those more strategic business decisions, especially as you're going into some sort of a downturn in the economy. You need to make sure that that person knows how to pivot and make decisions and even be able to put some of these systems and procedures and processes in place to make sure that your investment is secure.
That's awesome, Dan. Well, those are 3 really great strategies that I think everybody needs to know about. If they want to learn more about what the work that you're doing, Dan, or connect with you or the work that you're doing, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. We'd love to, jump on a call with you and discuss any of your goals further. If you're interested in doing some passive investing, our group is called passiveinvesting.com. So you can go to passiveinvesting.com and there's a little simple form there you can fill out if you're interested in being a passive investor with one of our projects that we have coming up. But for those of you who are interested in the summit, you can do that as well by just going to mfinsummit.com, and looking forward to seeing you at the event coming up in June.
That's it, guys. We're going to have it all inside of those comments for those links too, as well with the promo code from Dan here to be able to get that discount to get yourself into this kind of quality group and information that you're looking for. That's all we're going to be doing here for today, guys. Tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about entrepreneurialism. Thursday we're going to be talking about wealth. Fridays we're going to be talking about the growth, the other side of what happens once we have all the money. What are all the other things that come across that we actually have to do in life? From my personal experience working with great investors and wealth builders around the world of what makes life great, right? So that's going to be done Friday. So we got entrepreneurialism, wealth, and personal growth work that we're going to be doing this week, guys, for everybody. For everybody, we also have the free LLC. All you got to do is go up here to this link, the royallegalsolutions.com website, and that's the way you guys can claim your free LLC. Truly free LLCs. We're even paying the filing fees on behalf of you guys. Like, this is an insane deal. Like, not just like a little bit better than LegalZoom or Rocket Lawyer. Like, nobody it can even touch how good of a deal this is from an actual law firm preparing it for you based upon the criteria of your experience. So looking forward to connecting with everybody. Dan, thank you so much for joining me here today. Everybody check out the Multifamily Investor Network Summit and the links that we have here in the comments. Thanks, guys.